News at 7.
The United States Embassy in Jerusalem. Congratulations.
Today we gathered here to say no. No to Trump. No to you.
The U.S. makes it official, moving its embassy to Jerusalem, but the move is controversial. Deadly protest. What's next? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohn, and welcome to ABC7. That's 7. We'll have more on the U.S.-Israeli embassy in dilemma in a moment. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. For years now, it has been the big question what to do with Sarasota's waterfront and the Van Wezel Performing Arts Center. The ultimate decision surrounding the Van Wezel's future rests in the hands of the city. It is owned by the city and up to the commissioners to decide whether the city needs a new performing arts center and how to pay for it.
The biggest variable there is sea level rise and climate change. There are areas of that building that power the building and its infrastructure that are literally under sea level right now. So how do we deal with that in the future?
We really do need a new facility in order to compete with other performing arts centers, and as it exists now, it really can't be refurbished to accomplish what needs to be done.
At Monday's City Commission meeting, the design team will be presenting its plan to commissioners. A Bradenton man is in the Hillsborough County Jail after state troopers say he was driving the wrong way on Interstate 75. Joseph Newmare was allegedly heading north in the southbound lanes near the Manatee-Hillsborough County line this morning. Troopers say when they found Newmare at a traffic signal, he rammed into an FHP patrol car, then took off, at times driving the wrong way on US 41. He was eventually stopped by troopers. Newmare now faces charges including DUI and fleeing to elude. An update now involving the Punta Gorda police officer who was fired following a deadly shooting. A judge says the department's pension board must consider Officer Lee Cole's disability application. Cole was fired last March because of a fatal shooting of a woman during a citizens training demonstration. He thought he was shooting blanks but fired live rounds, killing Mary Knowlton. Cole applied for a disability pension last year, saying he suffers from PTSD and other psychological impairments. He is scheduled to face trial for negligent manslaughter in October. Picture this. You're sitting at home, minding your own business, when the police show up unexpectedly responding to a call placed to your residence. It just happened in Northport. Police responding to the woman's home for what they thought was a hostage situation involving 3 masked men. But the call was a fake. It was determined to be a swatting incident. That's when someone clones a phone number and calls 911 reporting a fake crime.
I never heard of somebody's getting swatted. That's the first time I ever heard it from police officers, and they told me that it's actually coming.
The FBI is now involved in working to trace down the original call. If they can find the person who made it, they could be arrested. New details of a man accused of robbing of a bank in Sarasota. Peter Gonzalez is accused of robbing the Wells Fargo on Bee Ridge Road, and deputies say he is connected to 2 other robberies in Hillsborough and Osceola counties, all within a 2-week span. According to bank personnel, Gonzalez passed a note to a teller demanding cash and then ran away. Sarasota's sheriff's office is still investigating. Anticipated voter fatigue is already a concern of backers of a proposed constitutional amendment that would extend property tax caps. When casting ballots in November, Floridians will decide the fate of 13 proposed constitutional amendments. In addition to voting on federal, state, and local races, the long list of ballot proposals worries supporters of Amendment 2, which would extend and make permanent a 10% cap on annual increases in assessed values of non-homesteaded properties.
Already you have generally less than half the registered voters voting in the election, and then fewer than 20% of them vote on, 15 to 20% of them vote on the, I mean, you're getting a smaller and smaller and smaller fraction of people changing organic law.
The Constitution Revision Commission added 8 amendments, with 6 of the measures featuring 2 or more topics. An important health alert involving the popular beach areas on the Suncoast. Sarasota County health officials are issuing a no-swim advisory for Turtle Beach, Venice Fishing Pier Beach, and Minnesota Key Beach. Health officials say the advisory was issued because bacteria levels are not at acceptable limits. The beaches are not closed, but you should not swim or wade into the water until the advisory is lifted. The next round of test results will be available tomorrow. But it doesn't appear to be a beach weather anyway. To see how it's going, let's head over to ABC7's Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan with the First Alert forecast.
Thanks,
Bob.
Alan. That file in the corner of that video, you could really tell it was some other day. Not the best of beach days today. Lots of clouds, showers occasionally, and mainly isolated thunderstorms inland today. The heavy rainfall that fell was the big story. Right now, this is a look at the tower cam from 6:30 this evening. You can see these clouds trying to build but having a hard time of it. They kind of fall apart, and that's the result of some drier air that's kind of slipped in now in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We're seeing that right now, and that means our chances for showers through this evening not all that great. Now there may be 1 or 2, but the heavy rain that was around earlier has now shifted well east, and you can see that lightning showing up as it continues to work its way toward the east coast. And out here, we're watching this line. It looks rather impressive there. Just about a half hour ago, it starts to build with a few lightning strikes, but then it runs into some dry air that's in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So we can still count on a few spotty showers. We see that in Venice. That one just pushed on through about an hour ago. Some more light rain showers out there, but all in all, pretty quiet in Bradenton, Palmetto, Parrish, and down south into Inglewood. You can see that that's that one lone shower I'm talking about. Again, as it pushes off to the east, it has been weakening somewhat. You see it kind of building up there, and then these showers falling apart as a result of that dry air in place. Rainfall amounts have been impressive in Hillsborough County in particular, also into Polk County. These are estimates near Lakeland and also into Plant City. Actual rainfall gauge there reported plus 7 inches in just about 2 hours' time, causing some flooding problems there. A lot of dry air, Alan, to the west of us. If we could just have that for the weekend move in and help out with a lot of different activities going on. Graduations are happening, so on and so forth. So right now the rain chances are elevated.
Plant City.
Yeah, they're planting a lot there, and a lot of those plants are inundated with water.
All right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, what are reasonable people supposed to do or not do in terms of supporting President Trump's decision to move the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem?
Alan, that's not far away from...
Selfless service is the principle that guides Army National Guard soldiers to be ready whenever disaster strikes. They have a stake in the well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Selfless service. It's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more.
You know, fortunately, this was my first job out of college, so I was able to come back home and work in my hometown. I wore 2 hats. I was sports director and I was a news anchor. I did that for a few years and then decided to go full-time into news. Well, I love our team here at ABC7. We have a great mix, and it really is a great mix of personalities, of experience that meshes really well into a really strong team. I'm Scott Dennis, and I'm here for you.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Royal Wedding Week is coming to a close, but not before our furry friends get their moment in the spotlight. I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. We'll learn how making pets part of wedding ceremonies is a big trend now, and we'll show you how you can make it work for an adorable event. Linda will learn how Pilates is a fun way to get stronger for people of any age. Plus a big announcement from Tervis and Kathy Barboso in the kitchen.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
About every 3 minutes in America, someone is diagnosed with a blood cancer.
Light the Night brings together survivors and supporters to bring light to the darkness of cancer and to help fund life-saving research. Our goal is a world without blood cancers, and we're lighting the path to cures. The discoveries made in blood cancer research have led to breakthrough treatments for many cancers and other serious diseases. Help defeat the darkness of cancer. Join Light the Night today.
Check out mysuncoast.com/dining, your guide to the foodie lifestyle.
The United States formally moved its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem Monday. Meanwhile, along the border between Israel and Gaza, scores of protesters have been killed by Israeli forces. Natasha Chen shows us now how the world is reacting to the growing violence.
The death toll continues to rise as thousands of Palestinians protest the United States moving its embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
Today we officially opened the United States Embassy in Jerusalem. Congratulations.
President Trump appeared by video to celebrate the new embassy location, 5 months after he formally recognized the city as the capital of Israel.
This is history. President Trump, by recognizing history, you have made history.
But Palestinians are marking a different kind of history. This embassy move comes on the 70th anniversary of Israel becoming a country, a day Palestinians call Nakba, meaning the catastrophe. Palestinians hope to claim part of Jerusalem as their future capital. Protests at the Gaza border have been met with deadly force.
This is the life of the Palestinian people, and those who think that opening the embassy open doors to peace, let them look at what is really happening in the Gaza Strip.
The White House was asked whether Israel should show some restraint.
We believe Hamas bears the responsibility. Look, this is a propaganda attempt.
The reaction around the world has varied. Saudi Arabia and Egypt have condemned Israel for what they describe as violent use of force against Palestinian civilians. South Africa and Turkey have removed their ambassadors to Israel. Turkey has also withdrawn its ambassador to the U.S. Russia, the UK, and France say they disagree with the embassy move, and Iran says this move will speed up Israel's annihilation. In Washington, I'm Natasha Chen.
Here on the Suncoast, this is a difficult issue for the Jewish community. Not all American Jews feel the same way about moving the U.S. Embassy, and we'll talk about it next on the Trapezoid.
Rugs as Art. You know the name, you know the building, but do you know what's inside? Yes, Rugs as Art is Florida's #1 area rug superstore. But there is so much more. Amazing furniture, accessories, and art. All this and more. Come see for yourself. You'll love our personal touch and be pleasantly surprised by our affordable prices. Rugs as Art and more. There is so much more to explore.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score.
It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
The skills you develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard can give you a head start on your career. Gain practical experience with technology and equipment that will give you a leg up in the civilian world. Learn critical leadership skills and to be part of a team. Serve your community and your country part-time while earning money for an education. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn about the paid training and career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard.
You now have the power to prioritize your Facebook feed and get local news and information from the team you trust. Go to the ABC7 Sarasota page on Facebook. Give us a like Then click Following and choose See First. That's it. Customize even more by choosing notifications. Choose breaking news, posts, live videos, anything you want to see in real time. Take control of your newsfeed and stay connected to what's happening in your community with ABC7 on Facebook.
Welcome back. If you're a member of the Jewish community here on the Suncoast, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Republican or Democrat, Israel and defending its right to exist has always been a unifying cause, and it still is. But there is a growing divide among American Jews when it comes to the government of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the lack of progress when it comes to peace with the Palestinians, President Trump's unshakable support for Netanyahu, and even the move this week of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. And joining us for more are Jeff Hunting, Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Sinai, Howard Teblowitz, the Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Sarasota Manatee, and Mark Weston, the author of Prophets to Princes. And we should note that we did want to have someone from the Muslim community here tonight, but it is the beginning of Ramadan, so we'll have to talk to folks from that community on another day. But obviously this has been a very eventful week after an eventful couple of months when President Trump first announced that he was moving the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And Mark, let me start with you and ask you why that is such a significant move.
I'm sorry, why is what
moving
the embassy?
The embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem?
It makes the U.S. no longer a neutral party between Israel and Palestine. This is something Israel has wanted for a long time. I think it's a lost opportunity. It should have come at the end of a long peace negotiation. Instead, it's essentially a gift to Prime Minister Netanyahu. And there was no mention during all of this ceremony of the fact that 38% of Jerusalem is Palestinian, and that perhaps someday Jerusalem can also be a capital city of a Palestinian state. There was no mention of this and no meetings with Palestinians. It was all just very one-sided.
Just a little history for the folks listening to this. The U.S. position on moving the embassy to Jerusalem dates back to the 1990s, when I think it was Bob Dole who got Congress to pass such a law. But in the intervening years, every president, Republican and Democrat, has waived that requirement up until now. Rabbi, let me get your reaction to this. Rick Jacobs is the president of the URJ, the Reform Movement, and he said in response to this, "We also celebrate the opening of the embassy as an affirmation of the deep and lasting ties between the U.S. and Israel. However, we remain very much aware of the lack of progress towards a long-term just solution for Israelis and Palestinians. We hope the administration's statements today are part of that serious effort to bring both sides back to the table." Do you think that's going to take place?
Do I think we're going to be back at the table? If that's going to happen, it won't be because of a move of the embassy. I mean, I have to echo Mark West, as you just said a few minutes ago. This was going to be something that we could use as a chip for negotiations. And my question also would be, what did we gain from this? We certainly in the United States, but also as a lover of the state of Israel. What did Israel really gain? And I'm not sure whether it gained anything.
Howard, I said at the outset this is difficult for the Jewish community here on the Suncoast, because in any given synagogue, whether it is Reform or Conservative or Orthodox, Jews do not speak with one voice. They don't. There's a range of things. How difficult has it been in terms of synagogue life these days?
I'm sure. Look, I'm not a rabbi, but it is difficult because there is differences of opinion. However, I will differ with my colleagues here that I actually Googled before I came here. I think there's 205 countries in the world. There's one country that there's a discussion about its capital. Since 1948, Jerusalem's been the capital of Israel. It's the capital of Israel. So there may be differences of opinion about whether they recognize moving the embassies there or not, but I think most Jews do believe that Jerusalem is simply the capital of Israel, and it is the capital of Israel. So this is an interesting political issue, not an issue of fact. The fact is Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
And maybe we're going to have to continue this in the next segment, but is part of the issue here is that while most Jews believe that, most American Jews support that, they're concerned that these kinds of moves and other things that the Israeli government does, that Israel is losing the PR war internationally, and that in the long run threatens the state of Israel.
I think, again, Israel's been losing the PR war for years. If Israel loses, then I think the PR will be better, but except when Israel loses, Israel's done. Therefore, 1967 is not going to happen again. That's one of the reasons why I understand there's a PR issue, but the reality is that Israel can't afford to lose anything. And that is a fact of life. Israel loses once, it's done. Therefore, it can't lose.
And I know, Rabbi, you want to respond to that, but we have to take a first break. We're just getting warmed up. The new U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem is our subject tonight, right after we check the First Alert weather. Stay with us.
Since 1972, Sleep King has provided quality mattresses and accessories at the best discounted prices available. Top brands like Simmons, Sealy, Serta, Beautyrest, iComfort, and more. With available free delivery, free financing, and free setup and removal. For a comfortable night's sleep with same-day delivery, even if we have to carry it on our backs. Trust Sleep King of Sarasota. Buy it today, sleep on it tonight.
There's nothing like this trail in Alabama. It just goes from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. We see all kind of different terrains, great value, great fun. We've been coming for 18 years. We started off with a group of 8, grew to 12, and grew to 16. And we love it because where else can you get world-class golf courses with world-class accommodations? To be able to play these type of courses in this environment, and the difficulty keeps us coming back over and over and over again.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Meet Blue. Blue's not feeling well. The prescription? Generic medication. Blue wonders, do they really work as well as name brands? Yes, generics and name brand medications do work the same. Even though they may look different, generics have the same key ingredients. FDA approval is equally rigorous for generics to make sure they're as safe and effective as name brands. And Blue even saves some green, making him a little less, well, blue. Talk to your doctor about generics and visit fda.gov/generic drugs.
Many websites selling medication may look professional and legitimate, but the vast majority of sites selling prescription drugs are doing so illegally. Criminals use websites to sell counterfeit medications that may contain life-threatening toxins. Dot Pharmacy is a website verification program that helps you identify safe and trustworthy online pharmacies. Purchasing medicine online can be safe and easy. Just look for pharmacy to the right of the dot in website addresses.
The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem continues right after we get a check on the First Alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist.
Spectacular sunset tonight. Get a look at this tower cam shot from our tower high above downtown Sarasota at 10th Street. They're looking out over Sarasota Bay. You can see those clouds trying to get up into the upper levels of the atmosphere, but they can't do it. There's dry air that's kind of slipped in. And then the low flow is moving in from the south to the north there. That's keeping the tropical moisture and humidity high here. This is a visible satellite imagery. The GOES 16 satellite really gets the detail of a lot of different things as it makes its way through. But those clouds are starting to clear out right here right now. And it looks like the rain is coming to an end in places, not everywhere. Look at this line of intense storms still working its way off to the east, and a tremendous amount of rainfall along the Gulf Stream there over East Florida there off the East Coast. There's one lone storm trying to pop up there, not having much success, but we'll watch it as it moves to the northeast and east at around 20 miles an hour. So we're going to keep a chance for a few brief showers in the mix through this evening, even during the overnight, simply because there's just a lot of energy out there. On top of that, the dry air shouldn't shut down everything, but it will keep things at a minimum as far as the storms go. You can see that activity producing some lightning strikes, but again, that's over 60 miles west-southwest of Osprey, pushing off to the east-northeast at 20 miles an hour. And then there's that other piece of energy way out there in the Gulf of Mexico. So lots going on right now. And it looks like it'll stay that way, too, right through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, especially over the weekend. We have a little bit of a switch. We'll see more of an east to southeasterly wind return, and that will bring us those showers and storms moving back toward the coast late in the day. And that means a better chance for coastal showers and even a few thunderstorms in the afternoon and evening on Saturday and Sunday. The IR satellite imagery showing that steady plume of moisture extends all the way down into the western portion of the Caribbean tonight. And that is a result, again, of this low pressure area that's spinning around, kind of drawing this moisture up. And that, with that in place, we'll see that elevated chance for rainfall. Look at the western Gulf of Mexico, just clear, void of clouds. And that, again, is a direct result of all this dry air, which takes a look at the imagery here. This is the mid-levels of the atmosphere. We're talking 20, 30, 40,000 feet. And with all that in place, they're not going to see many clouds there. But once in a while, we get a little lobe of that dry air kind of working its way in this upper level low. You can see that spinning right there. And then this dry air comes in, kind of shuts things down temporarily. And then things will heat back up, though, as more moisture comes in from the south and kind of gets rid of that dry air. The winds will stay out of the south throughout the day tomorrow. Not all that high either, so good boating weather. And then we will see, as I said, a little bit of switch to an east-southeasterly direction beginning on Saturday, which will start to push everything back toward the west coast of Florida. Currently, we have some sunshine and 77 degrees, humidity at 79%, and the pressure 29.96 inches. The high today managed to get to 84, a couple degrees shy of the average 86, 97, the record set in 2017. Well, just 1/100th of an inch of rainfall at the Sarasota-Braden Airport. You go to Plant City, and just to the southeast thereof, they had 7 inches today. The satellite and radar imagery showing a lot of moisture over the southeast, extending down through Florida and throughout the Straits and into portions of Cuba tonight. The overall pattern is calling for us to stay pretty warm over the southern plain states. 98 degrees in Dallas for a high tomorrow. 73, not bad in Cleveland. Boston a bit cooler, and Kansas City 86. Denver gets up to 67 tomorrow. For boaters, a few scattered showers, south winds at 10 knots. We'll have a light chop on the bays and inland waters. The water temperature now at 78 degrees. And we'll see a mixture of sun and clouds tomorrow. More clouds than sun at times, depending upon how much dry air moves in overhead. And the 7-day forecast, well, the elevated rain chances stay with us right through the weekend. The 50% tomorrow, scattered at any time, more so in the afternoon and evening. And then 60% chance on Saturday, a little bit more on Sunday. It stays elevated through Tuesday of next week, a little reprieve on Wednesday. And then we'll be watching the tropics. We'll talk more about that coming up in a few minutes. Alan will be right back with his guests after this. Stick around.
This is an important message for anyone with Medicare. You may be eligible for an all-in-one Medicare plan that combines hospital, medical, and prescription drug coverage together with extra benefits that may include dental, vision, hearing aids, and much more. Some of these plans have a $0 monthly premium regardless of your income. That's right. For one low plan premium, or in some cases a $0 premium, you may be able to get coverage for your hospital visits, doctor appointments, prescription drugs, routine dental care, eyeglasses and contact lenses, hearing aids, and possibly more. Today may be the first time you've heard about this type of Medicare plan. The advisors at the Medicare.com helpline are licensed insurance agents who will explain more when you call. Call now to see if you qualify. Call the number on your screen now. Call now to see if you qualify for these benefits. You worked hard for your Medicare. Now is the time for your Medicare to work hard for you. Not affiliated with or acting on behalf of any government agency or program.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score.
It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think, I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
To be able to just get my son here and not think about how we will pay for it, it just takes so much weight off of my family. St. Jude allowed me to focus on being a mom to Bryce. And sometimes I'm just in awe of the impact St. Jude has, not only on this community, but the world.
Welcome back. We're talking about moving the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and joining us for more are Jeff Hunting, Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Sinai, Howard Teblowitz, the Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Sarasota and Manatee, and Mark Weston, the author of Prophets to Princes. And we should know we did want to have somebody from the Muslim community here tonight, but it is the beginning of Ramadan. And Rabbi, I know that you wanted to respond to something that, that Howard said earlier about the problem that Israel finds itself in terms of the global PR war.
Well, I think Howard is right in the sense that that's not the be-all and end-all. But there was a time when Israel, incidentally, was winning the PR war. I remember 1967 and 1973, and that was a very, very different time. It can't be avoided sometimes. When you are attacked, you have to respond appropriately, and I think Israel's trying to do that. But maybe the motto should be do no harm. In other words, I really wonder what Israel gained. Let's forget the United States, but Israel gained by moving the embassy. First of all, in response to my friend here, Jerusalem has always...
And you guys are friends.
We are dear friends. Jerusalem has always been the capital of Israel. Israel decides who the capital is. What we're really talking about is how the world comes together to decide where their embassy is going to be. For instance, the business of international contacts with the Israeli government was always in Jerusalem. If you look at the consulates before the move, they're huge, and that's where the business was because the government of Israel is in Jerusalem. So this really is something else. Again, I think it was much more, and I'll say it, I believe this was much more a decision for Donald Trump's political campaign than it was anything else.
On that note, CNN published an interesting article, and I want to quote from it. It was by Samuel Friedman, who's a professor at Columbia University, and bear with us because this is a little bit long, but he says, in normal circumstances, a consensus of American Jews would have unreservedly cheered the relocation of the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, which Jews of all stripes regard as the national capital despite international refusal to do so. But the toxic partnership of Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has damaged the bond between Jews here and Jews there. The peace process and the hope of a two-state solution is effectively dead. It now seems that the only options on the table are a binational state, which would provide equal citizenship rights to all Jews and Arabs living between the Jordan River and Mediterranean Sea, and an apartheid regime of Israeli Jews ruling over Palestinian Arabs. Mark, that is what a lot of people are concerned about in terms of that. The perception that Israel is becoming an apartheid state.
Yes, Israel's PR is about to get much worse. And the root of the problem, which was expressed there, is Israel would like to be a democratic state, a Jewish state, and have the West Bank. And it's just can't have all three. It's physically impossible to have all three. It has to choose which two of the three it wants. So if it hangs on to the West Bank, then it has two choices. It can give the Palestinians a vote, in which case it ceases to be a Jewish state, or it can not give the Palestinians a vote, in which case a minority will be ruling a majority. Right now, between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean, it's still 51% Jewish, 49% Palestinian, but that's changing very rapidly. So within about 2 years, you're going to have a light-skinned minority ruling over a darker-skinned majority. This is approaching South African apartheid. It'll get worse as the years go by, and Israel, really, it's not good for Israel to go in that direction.
So Howard, a lot of people think, or there are American Jews who think that what is happening today, the position, whether it's of the Trump administration or the Netanyahu government, is it works for today, it holds Israel together today, maybe even tomorrow, but what happens a couple of years around when you, instead of the world support in terms of what Israel is doing and its right to exist, you know, the lessons of South Africa and apartheid is not over the long haul something that could be sustained.
First of all, I resent the word apartheid, because there is no apartheid in Israel, none. So let's start with that as a given. Two, Israel is an independent democratic state. They're going to elect their government, and the government's going to be the government. We elect our own governments here. I don't think over the long haul there is going to be that much change going on, whether it's Democrat or Republican. There's different shades, but I do believe in the long run that is going to be the case. However, yeah, Israel is losing the PR war, but Israel's lost it for years anyway. If we have to rely in Israel on worrying about Europeans or worrying about third world countries, done.
Rabbi?
I think one of the problems is the definition of terms, and that is one is occupation. If in fact Israel continues annexing land upon which Palestinians live on the West Bank, that is not just occupation, that's annexation. Israel is at war. In this way, I'm sure that Howard will agree with me. Like two warring countries, there are rules of war, and one is that you can occupy the land until there's a peace treaty. Nobody in his right mind would blame Israel for continuing a military occupation until the Palestinians sign a peace treaty. What is complicating this is the Israeli government's consistent expansion of settlements on the West Bank. In essence, somebody said it correctly, there's two countries fighting over a pizza, and one is eating the pizza. And that's exactly what we have. We don't have apartheid right now. Yes, Israel, within the green line of the 1949 borders, is one of the most democratic of states. In a certain sense, I would say it's even more democratic with a small d as the United States. But if you look at, if Israel becomes, as Mark just said, if it becomes the land between the Mediterranean and the Jordan River, then keeping a democratic state and a Jewish state is virtually impossible.
I'm wondering if all of you are concerned about the toll that this very debate is taking on the American Jewish community, which, you know, again, you know, you could go back in terms of cliches and talk about American Jews and agreeing on all things, but I think we've all noticed a difference in terms of what's happening inside the congregations, which, you know, politically has really made very intense divisions, you know, in our community.
Yeah, I think it's not just the Israel issue, it's the entire American political scene that's just causing the never-ending angst, not just in synagogues, churches, probably in mosques as well. You cannot have a civil conversation where you disagree. I mean, Jeff and I are good friends, and we disagree, and we're good friends. But I think the whole issue of disagreeing without being disagreeable seems to be the problem right now, and that's just an American issue.
Mark, and we're going to wrap up this conversation, but what is, you know, it seems like the support for what the president is doing and regarding his support for Israel is falling increasingly under political lines, with you know, over 80% of Republicans supporting what the president is doing, but far fewer Democrats, even if they're Jews, supporting the president on these issues.
Yes, and the ceremony at the embassy in Jerusalem was a love fest between U.S. evangelical Christians and Israeli very Orthodox Jews, with very few secular Jews or secular Americans, for that matter, there. So it is now becoming a very partisan issue, and it never used to be. I mean, Americans used to be unanimous about Israel's right to exist. Well, we're still unanimous about that, and its right to protect itself against the Palestinians. But what you were just talking about, the settlements are like a canker sore that irritates the Muslim world and drives young men to become terrorists. And I'm convinced that if Israel and Palestine can ever settle this issue about who governs what, that terrorism will decrease.
You have an interesting joke, which I will allow you to tell.
There was an Israeli intellectual and a Palestinian intellectual, and they were talking about all the problems, and then they said, will there ever be peace here? And they got down on their knees and they prayed, Lord, will there ever be peace in the Middle East? And a voice boomed out of the sky and said, yes, there will be peace here, but not in my time.
Rabbi, I know that you were kind of disturbed by some of the speeches at that ceremony earlier this week by some of the pastors that were invited by the United States government.
On my behalf, I only speak for myself, but I think I speak for a lot of people in our community and elsewhere. I want to thank Mitt Romney for having the courage to say what he said about the people who were invited to that ceremony. Some of the most bigoted, narrow-minded, and hateful people were chosen by our president for the opening of that embassy. These are people who have said that Mormons, Roman Catholics, Muslims, and Jews and gay people were either created in hell or are going there. And I would like to know why that is something that brings peace to the Middle East.
And Howard, let me give you the last word.
Let's just keep hoping that cooler heads are going to prevail in the Middle East and people are going to begin talking to each other.
And that's what it is. Thank you very much. We want to thank our guests for being here tonight. Jeff Hunting, the Rabbi Emeritus of Temple Sinai, Howard Teplowitz, the Executive Director of the Jewish Federation of Sarasota Manatee, and Mark Weston, the author of Prophets and Princes. When we return, USF Sarasota Manatee economics instructor Michael Snipes will join us to discuss how the macro numbers are looking for your paycheck since the GOP tax plan. Stay with us.
I heard about the Dotoli Cancer Center through friends of mine who had been treated here and were very pleased with the treatment.
If there is prostate cancer, we at the Dotoli Cancer Center will find it using 3D color flow Doppler ultrasound.
And that helped precisely identify where my cancer was. I can tell you that you will not find a finer, more professional team of clinicians anywhere in the world.
Did you know you could get life insurance for less than 32 cents a day? With guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage, you can get up to $25,000 in protection with a single phone call. TrueStage can help free your family from immediate financial stress when you're gone.
Utility bills, mortgages, car payments, those are a lot of things that can add up pretty fast.
And even if you're on a fixed income, prices fit your budget, starting at less than 32 cents a day. Plus, your price will never increase and your benefit will never decrease. And with no medical tests or health questions, you cannot be turned down for any reason. Call 1-800-842-7189. Now, for a free, no-obligation quote, TrueStage offers plans to fit your budget. Help protect your family from immediate financial burdens after you're gone with guaranteed acceptance whole life insurance through TrueStage. Call 1-800-842-7189 now.
According to a new survey by U.S. News and World Report, 3 of Alabama's top 4 hotels and resorts are part of the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail Resort Collection. The Grand Hotel Marriott Resort in Point Clear, the Battle House Renaissance Mobile Hotel and Spa, and the Renaissance Birmingham Ross Bridge Golf Resort and Spa. Hey, we didn't invent Southern hospitality, we just offer more of it. Visit rtjgolf.com/resorts to find out more.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Welcome back. We all know President Trump loves to talk about the GOP tax plan, which passed a few months ago. It was said to be putting more money in our bank accounts each pay period. Have you noticed the change? Anyone? Anyone? Here to explain to us is more USF Sarasota Manatee economics professor Michael Snipes. Michael.
Well, thank you very much. So yeah, so it is true that we are seeing the stock market reach new heights. We are seeing GDP grow. We're seeing all of these things, and that's all very true. But it's also true that most people aren't really seeing an increase in their paycheck. And so I thought I'd take a little bit different approach than what you might be used to, some of the different arguments than you might be used to. And the way I think about it is when we think about GDP, and when we're talking about the economy growing, we're talking about GDP. But GDP has 4 main components. It's got personal consumption, which we'll call C. It's got investment spending, which we'll call I. And it's got government spending, which we'll call G. And it's got net exports, which we'll call net XN. Right? So for our purposes, we don't necessarily need to worry about these two. Right? And what I want to do is I want to focus on these 2 variables, right? So personal consumption and investment spending. And the reason why I want to focus on those is because when most people think about, what they really care about are things like healthcare or housing or food. And those are all things that are counted as personal consumption. But when the tax plan came into place, really a lot of the tax cuts were designed to really influence this variable here, right? So that's where a lot of the tax cuts went, and they went in the form of what we call investment income. And so what we're seeing when we have an increase in GDP is really reflecting the fact that all of the growth is occurring in one specific part of the economy. And a lot of the growth is occurring in investment. So yes, it is true that if we have an increase in investment, that is one of the main components of GDP. So if we increase investment, then that's going to get us that economic growth. It's going to increase GDP. But that doesn't necessarily really count towards what most people really care about, which are things like affordable housing and food and transportation, things like that. The tax cuts were really designed to affect a specific category or a specific type of spending in the economy. So instead, one of the things that we could do is, instead of making the tax cuts here, one of the things we could do is, if we move the tax cuts over to really kind of giving people a break on things like healthcare and housing and food, then we would still get the growth in personal consumption, and that still would give us an increase in GDP. But that's not really what we saw. What we saw with the GOP tax plan that was put into place is that all of the growth was designed to stimulate one specific part of the economy. And when that part of the economy grows, the overall economy will grow, but it won't really affect the category that most people care about.
This is so important. I think we're going to do an entire hour on this.
No, but it sounds good to me. I think it is important to realize.
Michael, thank you very much. FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. We want to thank Michael Snipes, who joins us every Thursday to discuss the world of economics. When we return, we'll have a final look at your first alert weather. Plus, today marks the one-year anniversary of the special counsel's probe into Russia meddling in the 2016 election. What have we learned over the past 12 months? Stay with us.
Designers do it with style.
Tell me what's going on here.
Why, you don't like my hair? The Mark and Mandy Show. In-depth design ideas.
What is up with the tuck tape here? Let's cover it up.
Amazing beauty and fashion tips.
So Halle Berry has amazing skin. Her secret is coffee grounds. No.
Delicious recipes.
Today, I'm going to show you a special dish that is sure to please that special someone in your life.
Watch the Mark and Mandy Show right here on your favorite channel.
Everyone's buzzing about Suncoast View.
I like watching the Suncoast View.
I like the Suncoast View.
The cooking segments, I love the recipes. The theater segments are terrific.
Join Stephanie Roberts, Linda Carson, and special guests on Suncoast View for hot topics, everyday issues, celebrities, food, fashion, fitness, and everything in between. Nothing is off limits.
They're just fun.
For smart, fun talk in the afternoon, watch Suncoast View, weekdays at 4 on ABC7.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get a final check on our first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Well, get a look at the tower cam here, Alan. This is, again, looking out over to the Gulf of Mexico from downtown Sarasota. And you can see some low clouds moving off basically south to north, while these upper clouds trying to tap into something up there, but can't do it because there's dry air above it. A little bit of dry air slipped in, shutting the rain down a little bit here along the sun coast. There's still a chance for a few passing showers. The weather headlines look like this. Rain stays elevated, at least the chance does, through the weekend. And then we're going to see some heavy rainfall at times, like we saw today in Plant City near Interstate 4 and just to the east of I-75. They had 7 inches of rain in just a short order. Now, these showers are trying to still make their way on into the coast, but they're having a hard go of it because of that little piece of dry air that's moved in. No dry air here, though, as it heads off toward the east coast. That line of intense rain continues to move in that direction, but the heavy rain that was around earlier is over for the time being. Just a few spotty showers exist, and that's pretty much what we'll see through the rest of the evening, I think. A chance for a few spotty showers. This is still about 40 miles offshore of Longboat Key, pushing off toward the east-northeast at 10 to 15. But a pretty active radar at this time, and this time of day, as a result of a upper-level low that continues to kind of hang around, although it's not all that strong. And on top of that, some moisture coming up from the south. And that rainfall, as I mentioned, was heavy at times, still pretty good into Highlands County and places to the east. For us, though, we will see just a chance for a few showers through this evening and overnight. Well, that steady plume of moisture exists all the way down into the western Caribbean tonight. Not much going on at all over the western Gulf of Mexico, and that's a result of that dry air that has slipped into the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere. You see that right there? All that coming down from Texas and Louisiana, just settling right on into the Yucatan Peninsula. Although that rain that we saw around earlier, a little piece of energy moved up from Cuba and really kicked off the storms. There's that one little blob of dry air that's kind of moved in right now, giving us a nice sunset tonight. Gorgeous out there, and looks like it'll stay that way. Winds out of the south tonight, a little bit of an east flow at times, but then we'll see more of a southeasterly wind beginning on Saturday, and that will allow us to see a chance for some slow-moving storms. They develop, they'll have a tendency to start slowly working back toward the coast, and then you'll have interaction of outflow boundaries, meaning that storms sometimes with light winds move in all different kind of directions depending upon what storms were around them earlier. 77 degrees and the humidity at 79%. The barometer 29.96 inches. This is the forecast model showing you what's going to be happening. Chance for a few showers along the coast in the morning, and then the main focus will be inland storms in the afternoon and evening. On Saturday, we start to see a return of shower and thunderstorm activity, basically moving off toward the west. Sunday, this particular model really flares up in the afternoon and evening right over the top of us. Now, for boaters, looks pretty good out there. Seas will be running less than 2 feet on Friday, and looks like that'll be continuing on to Saturday. For the scattered showers around, they'll be a little higher as far as that wind and seas go. A light chop on the bays and inland waters, the 7-day forecast. Well, a chance for showers and storms scattered about on Friday, not a total washout, but we'll see partly cloudy skies at times. Saturday, 60% chance. Sunday, a little bit better chance for some showers and storms in the afternoon. Pretty much mostly cloudy skies, too, it looks like, especially in the afternoon and evening. And that rain chance staying high on Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday, a little less action happening. Primetime Headlines is next. Alan will be right back.
My credit score was not that great. I didn't understand what went into my credit score. It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach.
Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free. You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
A decade of war has taken an unprecedented toll on our men and women in uniform.
Hundreds of thousands of our veterans are suffering from the trauma of war.
At Justice for Vets, we believe that every veteran should have the opportunity for treatment and restoration.
Get involved and go to justiceforvets.org.
Help put treatment within reach of veterans in crisis.
Veterans fought for our freedom. Now it's our turn to fight for theirs.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
Checking primetime headlines, it's the one-year anniversary of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's probe into the Russia meddling in the 2016 election, and it comes one day after the Senate Intelligence Committee stated once again that Russia interfered in the U.S. election to help Donald Trump. ABC's Serena Marshall has more from Washington.
President Trump sarcastically marking an anniversary he definitely isn't celebrating. Tweeting, "Congratulations, America. We are now into the second year of the greatest witch hunt in American history." 1 year into Special Counsel Robert Mueller's probe into Russian election meddling, the president has swung from
I would love to speak because we've done nothing wrong
to
why don't I just fire Mueller?
And today at the White House briefing,
it's gone on for over a year. They found no evidence of collusion.
House leadership also calling for an end to the investigation.
We want to see this thing come to its conclusion, but again, I've always said he should be free to finish his job.
The Senate Intelligence Committee, which stands by the intelligence community's assessment, has said their own investigation remains ongoing.
Russians massively intervened in our elections to the purpose of helping Mr. Trump and hurting Hillary Clinton.
And the president's FBI director.
You said at your confirmation hearing that the Russian investigation was not a witch hunt. Is that still your opinion?
Yes.
When you compare Mueller's first year to other special counsel investigations, 538 Politics found Clinton's Whitewater probe lasted 7.5 years, Reagan's Iran-Contra more than 6 years, and Watergate lasted more than 4 years. Already, Mueller, a Republican and former FBI director, has indicted 19 individuals, 3 businesses, received 5 guilty pleas, and 1 other person serving a prison sentence. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
Gina Haspel is the first female director of the CIA. The Senate confirming her nomination today. Haspel has worked at the spy agency for 33 years, 32 of which were spent undercover. Her confirmation was reached because of yes votes from 6 Senate Democrats. Most of those Democratic senators are up for re-election in November, and states President Trump won in 2016. If you think your iPhone accessories are expensive, consider the price of the new limited edition iPhone 10 Tesla. It costs a whopping $4,500 or $4,800 if you want 256 gigs of storage. It includes a solar-powered case by Russian accessory producer Caviar that attaches directly to the iPhone 10. The company says high demand prompted them to increase the initial run order from 99 units to just under 1,000 units. The first one off the production line was offered to Tesla CEO Elon Musk. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.